July 14th meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety. Roll call. Here.
Here?
Are there any conflict of interest statements?
No.
Approval of the minutes of July 7th. I take it no one had a chance to see them?
No, I'll make a motion to defer action.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Correspondence. Item A, agreement with First Group Engineering for engineering services for the Hawk Pedestrian Signal 165th and Erie-Lackawanna Trail. This is the supervision contract, I think? Design contract? It's $15,000. And you recommend that we approve it?
Yes, sir. Hammond has applied for HSIP funding through NERC and NDOT, and our intent here is to accelerate this particular location. And so we've made application to NERC, to Gary Evers, to ask him to substitute this location for a location on Erie-Lackawanna Trail at 173rd, to still follow through with that. But this is a very critical location for this signal to go in, and so it's been decided or recommended by the engineering department to go ahead with this particular project.
Yeah, and this is the new standard for bike trails crossing
It
heavily
is.
traveled streets.
There are very few in Indiana. I talked to a local contractor. They have one in Indianapolis that they've installed, so they're not out there, but it is the new standard for nationwide.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Button, this is when pedestrians want to cross, they would hit the button and it would allow traffic to stop.
So it's a mid-block crossing, so it wouldn't be at an intersection. So as you know, at Maywood School, there's the Erie-Lackawanna Trail crosses right there, and it would be like creating an intersection in the middle of the block. So you depress the button, the signal energizes, and so the lights come on, they flash. That gets the traffic to stop. The crosswalk opens. It's similar to a railroad signal. Not exactly, but it's similar to like when you have a level crossing for the railroad where the arms come down. Well, there's no arms in this case, but you depress the signal and the lights start flashing, and then the traffic's to stop at a stop bar at that location, and then pedestrians can cross. And then it turns to a flashing system, and then cars still have to stop and then proceed with caution until it goes silent. So the lights eventually will completely be off, and it'll be just a typical traffic. It'll take some time to get used to, and we will probably need some help from public safety to kind of help us get through that initial process. We expect to try to get this work done by the end of the year.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Bid recommendation received from Engineering Department for Baltimore Avenue Lighting Project to be awarded to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, which is Midwestern Electric, and their bid is $38,800. We have a motion approving the bid award.
Motion to approve?
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item C, correspondence received from Engineering Department requesting $20,700.56 from the Fort District Gaming Fund be transferred for paving of riverfront additional parking at the Fort District River Park, submitted for approval. I think it's Riverside Park, right? Riverside Park?
The new playground was installed.
Right.
I'm sorry, Jonathan, did you want to?
No, that's what he was going to say about the first one, but the second was supposed to be Fifth District. Additional funds for, I believe it was $130,000.
Oh, it's two separate ones.
Okay.
Okay, I see. That's why it didn't make any sense.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so we got, the first one's for $20,756 for paving of riverfront additional parking in the Fort District Riverside Park. And the second one is $130,000 in the Fifth District overlay program, North Cott, 175th to 177, and 175th North Cott to Bertram.
Correct?
Oh,
Correct.
do I have a motion approving both of these?
a motion to approve?
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item D, correspondence received from Calumet City Plumbing Company requesting 2 street closures for sanitary sewer repair.
Morning. I got the permit applications here. We're looking to shut down Torrance Avenue from Gosling South, the next street over.
Yeah, 100, that one doesn't concern me, but 150 it does, because we have a fire station on the corner.
We're doing a residential sewer repair. We could stop and go to traffic on that one if needed.
Well, there's gonna be trucks turning onto that street off of Calumet to go to those industries there.
Exactly.
Is there some way that you can at least let them through, because they're not gonna know where to go
Right.
to get around to come in off of Columbia?
Right. What I can do is, like I said, I can have 2 flaggers there and I can stop and go
Yeah,
as they come
if
through.
you
I know
did
that's
that would,
That's a busy road there.
yeah, and if it didn't have trucks, then I wouldn't be all that concerned about it, but those trucks will then look for some way to get around, and they'll be driving through the neighborhood on streets that are not built to handle them, and radiuses that are not built to handle their turn movements.
Yes, we can accommodate the stop and go on that.
Okay,
What about the fire department? If they have,
They could get through. We would let anybody that comes through, we'd let them through.
it'd be one lane, will one lane be
One
open?
lane, we'll stop and go as we're doing the work.
so this is the house east of the fire station?
Yes.
Okay, so fire trucks leaving to go to Calumet, there's not gonna be any issue. It's only if they wanted to go down
We'll
100.
let everybody come through there.
Okay.
We'll be working on
Yeah,
the
'cause-
south side.
Because the street's nice and wide, so you should be able to flag people through in a pinch. Okay, so do we have a motion approving both of these, subject to flagmen being stationed at 150th?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. When are you gonna start?
I'll get it called in for locates and we'll probably start next week.
Okay.
I'll notify everyone.
How many days? 2 days?
1 day for each one.
Okay. Thank you. Do we vote?
Yes.
Yes. Item E, correspondence received from AT&T requesting permission to perform work at 5620 Soul Avenue. They're going to be crossing Soul Avenue at Thornton, underground. Do I have a motion approving their digging request?
Motion to approve the request?
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Pardon? It doesn't look like it. It looks like they're gonna jack and bore, right? Yeah, directional bore. Okay, thank you. Item F, correspondence received approving funding of the proposal from COEX Incorporated in the amount of $8,240 for downspout extensions on the Gene Shepherd Community Center, corresponding concrete removal and placement and replacement using the mayor's gaming funds. Why is this going through the Board of Works? Because the original contract was with Board of Works? Or is
No,
it
there's no,
part-
I don't believe that there was, I'm not sure that there was a contract signed. Bid on it? Yeah, so this was, it was under the bid requirement amount.
Okay.
Because I need the money to do it, I know, so it's fine, so I can move the money.
Okay. Do we have a motion approving the funding?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G, correspondence received from Chief of Police John Doty with approvals for street closures, block parties, personnel matters, and disposal authorization. So, the first one is a temporary street closure of Sheffield Avenue from 129th to Calumet Avenue. This event is already done. The 8th and the 9th of July.
Picnic, is that the picnic?
Yes. I thought we approved that last
We
week.
might have approved it subject to his review.
Oh. Then we have a whole bunch of vehicles that they're gonna dispose of. And that's it. Do I have a motion approving the chief's request?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Notice of violation, emergency order to vacate hearing on property located at 3840 179th Street.
Hi, Mr. President, this is the Motel 6 property. Attorney John Reed is here for the property owner, and he also does have the engineer with him.
I don't wanna oversell Mr. Kuhn.
This
He's
one
only-
with- this
Mr.
one with
Kuhn's
the-
only an architect.
This one with the balcony issue.
Yes, there's stairwell issues, railing issues, and balcony issues, and surface of and structural integrity of both. I do have a set of 8 by 10 photographs I'd like to hand up of some measures that have been taken to date on an emergency type basis to make sure there are no life safety issues on the property, if I might approach.
Sure.
What you'll see in those photographs are primarily, there's a lot of places where we've got concrete patching done, well over 100 spots. Frankly, it is Mr. Kuhn's opinion that more needs to be done in that regard. I don't think they got as many spots as they should to eliminate any tripping hazards. I do believe that's how this inquiry started. I believe there were some paramedics at the building for someone having a cardiac event on the second floor, and I think a paramedic or ambulance driver, somebody that had a difficult time rolling the stretcher because of some of the depressions in the concrete, cracks in the concrete. A lot of those have been fixed. There are 2 places where the railing, the railings are welded to steel downspouts that hold the gutters that are actually embedded into the concrete in the ground. So the structure coming from the ground through the railing is solid. The railing has come off over time in a couple of spots. That fix that you see is merely a piece of steel angled that is screwed into the concrete and then screwed into the railing. We are going to have that also substantially shored up from what that is. That will be attached. It'll be a different type of piece. It'll be an angle iron that will be attached and then welded to the railing as opposed to screwed. And that is also only a temporary measure until the concrete can be fully repaired underneath. If I might also come forward to have the report from Mr. Tom Kuhn, the architect. And I think, you know,
How are these screws anchored into the concrete? Because they don't look like they're very big screws. It doesn't look,
Tapcon.
they are adequate, you think? Oh,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
okay, well, that's what it looks like to me.
And I don't disagree. That's why we had Tom come out. We had a contractor to go out and say, are there, you know, that there were some life safety issues and things we need fixed. And frankly, in the contractor's bid to the motel company, they stated that those would be put in differently and that they would be welded. And frankly, they did not do the job they were supposed to do on further inspection, okay? So unfortunately, they've been paid already, so I can't do much about that. But we are going to do a better job on both of those issues. There are more holes, I think, that need to be patched. Of course, those are all only temporary. And we are going to have the contractors go back out. I believe Mr. Kuhn suggests in his report that all the life safety issues, that would be the railing and any tripping hazards, would be taken care of by July 30th fully. So there would be nothing left that would be a life safety issue. Then by August 30th of this year, we would submit to the city, obviously Mr. Cook and this board, a full set of construction plans for repair and/or replacement of other items. I also think that we want to, on Mr. Cook's advice, load test the balcony to make certain that it is still structurally sound. There are areas where the angle is more than 2%, and the question is that from the original construction? This was built over 50 years ago, or is it structurally inadequate? I will tell you, when you walk it, it feels like you're walking on a brick bunker. I mean, this was built well, and it was built, but it was built a long time ago. The hotel has undergone a lot of renovation from the outside and the inside, except for this balcony area. So this is something that is slated to be done. Frankly, I think they've waited too long. And we have to remember, their interests are in line with your interests. They are on the hook for the world if someone is hurt there, so they don't want anything to happen either. This is not, I don't think, an adversarial type of thing where you're saying, fix it, and we're saying, no, we're saying we want to do it, we're going to do it, we've got the wherewithal to do it. We want to be able to put together a plan that is adequate, and we want to make sure that the city is comfortable with our construction plan before we do it. I don't want to do something and then have to come back and say, well, you spent $250,000, but your repair isn't adequate. I want to make sure it passes muster with everybody here and with Mr. Cook before we pull the permits and do the work. But we are going to have those life safety issues more properly addressed, and that will be all completed by July 30th. And we also have engaged Mark Stern, who I think has been a local engineer here for quite a long time. The company had originally hired an engineering firm from out of state, somewhere in Ohio. They produced a report. I don't think the city was happy with that report. The company, I don't know how happy they were with that report. When they got a hold of me, we hired a local architect and a local engineer, Mr. Kuhn and Mr. Stern, to put together a real work plan. Mr. Stern, unfortunately, went out of town last Friday. He does have a draft report. It's not finalized. He and Mr. Kuhn have walked the property on 2 occasions, and I've walked it with him. So I know they are putting those plans together. What I'd like to do, if possible, is have until July 30th to fix the immediate life safety issues, and then be able to come back, I don't care if it's whenever you want me to, on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, until we've got everything sewn up and we've got our plans submitted to you, just to keep everybody updated on where we're at. And it is, obviously, it's a heavy travel season. If it was November, we wouldn't be as concerned about any kind of stoppages or inability to occupy the property, but this is for pretty much all highway type motels. This is the season. This is it. If you can't be open during this time of year, you may as well not be open at all. So that's issuable. The company does have over Motel 6 has over 525, right about 525 hotels, and trust me when I tell you, their interest is the same as yours in keeping them safe, because they're the ones on the hook, right? And they know what liability looks like. They've been there. So I would ask you for that grace to be able to have till July 30th to do some better repairs, and then till August 30th, as Mr. Kuhn suggests, to submit his plans from an architectural standpoint, Mr. Stern's report from a structural engineering standpoint, have the 2 of them to get together, put the construction plans in shape, make sure they pass muster, and then we're going to bid those out and get the work done, if that's acceptable to the board.
Are you going to allow people to be in the structure during that time?
Are you good with that plan?
Not exactly, no. Very close. I respect Tom. Tom and I have talked about it. The engineer that they've engaged is top-notch. They have no problems with that. We all agree that repairs need to be done. We are going to disagree on the extent of the repairs. I'm pretty sure of that. So, number one, if we all agree that repairs have to be done, then there is nothing stopping you from affirming the order to demolish or repair. That would help going into the future. 2, Mr. Kuhn's report does state that the life and safety issues have not been addressed now. At the last time this was here, 3 weeks ago I think it was, we suggested strongly that the 2nd floor not be occupied until life and safety issues were attended to. They are not attended to. they're asking to continue to occupy the second floor. Yesterday, there were 3 people on the second floor that I could see, and the building was not full. So they could fill the first floor and not occupy the second floor. I would like the opportunity that once the life and safety issues, the temporary repairs are done, to have it inspected and then allow the second floor to be occupied, but not until then. The balcony has sagged in a number of places. That tells me that the rebar that is holding up has failed, at least beyond what design specifications are allowed. I'm a carpenter, not a structural engineer. I would like somebody to tell me it's not going to fail anymore. And that's why they engaged Mr. Stern. If they really wanted to occupy the second floor now, Mr. Stern could have done this in the last 3 weeks. It hasn't. I think prudence would tell us to ask them or order them not to occupy the second floor until life and safety issues are attended to, till these load tests are done, till the railings are fastened properly, to where there are no more tripping hazards left there. Other than that, we agree entirely. We just disagree on the approach.
This is a practical matter, playing the devil's advocate. This was set for June 30th. Today's the 14th. If we set this for the 28th, which is 2 weeks to give them a chance to get the life safety matters, what's going to happen is if the board enters the order today, they're probably just going to appeal the order. And then nothing is going to happen any faster because the order will be up on appeal. If we just kick this over for 2 weeks and give them a chance to do the life safety measures, we can always revisit this shutting down of the second floor. Because they already do have an attorney. There's probably going to be an appeal. It's going to go to the Superior Court, and it's going to delay things 30 days, whereas this would only delay things 2 weeks.
We did, however, give them the extension the last time they were here and made the request that they not use the second floor at that time,
But they did
correct?
they have hired an architect, they've hired an engineer, they're addressing the issues. They're not exactly a judgment-proof company. If somebody, I'm not saying anybody's going to get hurt, but it's not like it's Motel 6. I'm sure they have financial responsibility. I just think, I mean, it's up to the board can do whatever they want. If we actually want to see this progress forward, the quickest way is just to set it over for 2 weeks, and then if that time, if it's still dangerous, we can shut it down then.
What could we expect to be done within 2 weeks? Reed?
I've asked them to repair all the surface, uneven surfaces, get started to do that. There's additional areas that could be patched temporarily, that obviously aren't permanent, but, the handrail is my biggest, sorry. The handrail is my biggest concern. There's some handles up there that are the posts are completely loose, and those little angle irons aren't gonna do the trick.
So is that something that will be taken care of within 2 weeks?
That's the intent.
And frankly, they should have been taken care of. Really, I'll be honest, the contractor let us down.
Yeah.
I read their contract. Those were supposed to be attached, not with those. You could buy those pieces in a hardware store. And the tab cons, anybody could do that. They were supposed to be anchored to the concrete and welded properly.
The structural steel.
And we paid a fair price to have it done, and frankly, the work wasn't done correctly. We will have it done correctly by that time.
Mr. Cruz, you think that there's any danger the balconies are collapsed in the next 2 weeks?
I really don't. I know Kurt's concerned about them sagging. However, it's very difficult at this time to determine if the rebar's been compromised or not. That's what holds it up. I was there this morning, I walked it, jumped up and down. It seems to be solid, you know.
I could have
But
gone.
I think the idea here is if we get our heads together, maybe we can do some load tests on it to verify if the structural steel, you know, the rebar in the concrete is compromised or not. There's all kinds of different ways of determining that. The other thing is that they've got years and years and years of temporary or just coatings on this balcony. They're anywhere from, you know, a couple mil thick to a half-inch thick that are failing miserably, and it all needs to be removed. And then you can see what you're feeling. You can see the rebar. You can maybe even do a test, pop a hole open and see what the rebar's looking like.
Can they do that in 2 weeks?
Probably not. I think the engineer's out of town for a while. That would be, he's working on his letter of recommendation. He didn't think, and I didn't think that there was a structural issue out there with the balcony.
And one of the methods Mr. Stern is talking about for dealing with the concrete surface to get it is to
that Flexicor?
No, it's poured in place concrete.
Okay.
It's all part of the floor slab and cantilever.
Are the balconies only accessible from the rooms?
Yes. Yes. Well, there's interior stair and exterior stairs to get to those. It's outside balcony situation.
But is the accessibility, you prevent accessibility to the balconies and still rent the room?
No.
Actually, when we say balcony, what it really is a walkway. It's not like a balcony on your back sliding door.
So what do you think, what you're saying, like put sawhorses so nobody can lean on the railings, or something like that, or caution tape, or cones?
Well, I would say those railings are gonna be, those are priority one, and the patching and the railings, this is not, fixing those couple items is not rocket science. It was done, it just wasn't done up to snuff, up to company standard, or what we paid for, frankly.
In a 50-year-old building, you know, none of that rebar is coated. So that's bare steel.
Right.
And if there's hairline cracks in that slab and there's salt and moisture getting down to those rebar, you could have the same kind of failure like they were worried was gonna happen with the Klein Avenue Bridge.
Right, most of the,
A number of areas where the rebar is exposed and it is rusted.
but where that,
We're talking 2 weeks. What is the right thing to do in the next 2 weeks until you get life and safety issues? Is it to put tenants at risk? Is it to take a chance and say, probably gonna be okay, then go ahead and do it? Now, what your decision is entirely up to you. My job as building commissioner is to tell you that that is not safe to occupy right now. And just like it was a house with bad electric, or any other building in Hammond, if it's not safe, we tell them not to occupy. Now, if they were really concerned about it, they could have effected the repairs in the past 3 weeks. They tried to stopgap effort. By the way, Mr. Reed, I would appreciate the hotel using licensed contractors to get the permits next time.
Oh, they only did it in that rush because
I
of the.
understand completely.
that's
I
it.
was more
Yes, I
concerned,
agree.
I was more concerned with protecting the renters than I was with enforcing city ordinances, but prepared in the future, we can appreciate that.
And that will be part of the ultimate plan, will be those contractors obviously be approved by the city, and the plan will be approved by the city.
We will bend over backwards to protect it, but between now and the 30th, what do we do? Do we let people occupy it today with loose railings, with falling concrete, with chips, with uneven surfaces, with everything that Mr. Kuhn has identified in his report? Or do we say, go ahead and occupy it, we'll take the chance? You know what I think?
And I will, just as a very brief response to that, I will say this, from the opinion and attitude of the hotel company that I represent, we have been told that there are issues. The city has done more than its due diligence, and Mr. Cook's done more than his due diligence. Nothing has happened to date. This is not a condition of property that occurred yesterday. We have no issues, reports of injury, lawsuits, anything regarding this property. Nothing has happened yet. I don't foresee that anything will happen because it is improved from what it was 2 weeks ago when we started getting after this. Had the contractor done the job right, we wouldn't be having this discussion. They will do the job right. But that is all our responsibility. At the end of the day, I know the city and everybody's fearful of lawsuits. The company, like I think Ms. Cantor said, is not judgment proof. We have substantial CGL policies. We have substantial cash. Running 525 hotels takes up a lot of that. But this is not the kind of thing that will fall back on the city. We have been told, we have been placed on notice, and we are taking corrective measures. Ms. Cantor is also right that if something like that were issued today, we would certainly, this becomes a court issue. We don't want to do that. The hotel doesn't want to do that. We want to be a good neighbor. We've been a good neighbor and taxpayer for over 50 years, and we want to continue to be that. We want to work with the city. We don't want to be, frankly, as I stand here, I don't feel like we are adversarial in any way. We both want the same thing. We want to save property. And it's in our best interest by a long shot to do that, and we will do it. I'd ask you to allow us to leave that floor open and keep this process and this procedure right here. And let's work together and get this done. That's my 2 cents.
Chris?
And like I said, we can just set it over for a week, 2 weeks, we can continue the progress, they can keep the board informed. It's not a situation where I think anything's gonna imminently happen between now and next Thursday, or between now and two
It
Thursdays.
makes me nervous because concrete doesn't fail slowly. It'll be catastrophic. It'll all of a sudden break off.
It could, I mean, I don't think we're expecting any snow loads.
No, but you could have, what if you have somebody that's having a party there and there's a bunch of people jumping up and down and dancing on the,
Well, I would obviously hope that Motel 6 would use its best discretion not to have, you know, a large party out there, or to perhaps patrol the balconies during this 2-week period of time to make sure that it's just, you know, normal stop-and-go traffic and not a graduation party or a quinceañera or something.
And just to answer your question more thoroughly, Mr. DeStatney, the hotel managers there, the standard operating procedure at these hotels, elderly people, people with young children, all get first floor rooms regardless, because they don't want people having to go up and down stairs and carry other, like, so, and elderly people going up and down stairs is never a good policy. So elderly folks with young children that check in, all get first floor rooms.
it's only 2 stories, right?
Yes, 2-story.
Were they aware of the board's request from the last time that they not use the second floor if at all possible?
They were aware of that request, and as most folks get, this is the season for highway side hotels, because this is the travel season. If this was November, maybe it would be a different conversation, but the occupancy, I know Mr. Cook was there yesterday, that was a Wednesday. Occupancy is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Those are the biggest days. The hotel is generally 95 to 100% occupied throughout the entire summer. Mostly it's all just travel. It's not a full service hotel, although there's laundry, some vending areas. But it is not a full service or limited service hotel. There's one at Oxbow, the ones that are popping up around. But I do believe that we will address these issues more than adequately. Let us come back in 2 weeks. So we will obviously contact Mr. Cook. And my plan would be for Mr. Cook, Mr. Stern, and Mr. Kuhn to all meet out there with me at the same time. Take a look at the repairs we're gonna affect correctly the different contractors. And I think everybody will be more than satisfied. Thank you.
Do you have any further comments, Kurt?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any further comments?
No, I think I kind of made myself pretty clear.
One thing, Mr. Kuhn reminded me, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Grace, but I forgot to mention that we will be cordoning off the areas. There's 2 areas where the railings, well, they have been reattached, but we don't like the way they're reattached. Those areas will be cordoned off, so we won't extend it until they're fixed properly. We're literally talking about a few days, we're not gonna wait till July 27th to affect this change. Those areas will be, there's 2 small areas that will. Thank you.
So you're gonna start the work in the next couple of days? Will you be back next week to give us an update?
I would be happy to be here next week to give the update. That would be the 21st, yes. And I think Mr. Stern will be back. I think he's coming back this weekend, so we should have his report as well.
I'm gonna make a motion that we set this for status, next week, and all life safety issues with the railings must be repaired by that point, or the board is going to, ask the second floor be shut down until, the next meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. Did you want your photos back? Pardon?
Unless you don't want them. More paper for a full plastic.
Okay, thank you. You want to keep them? The board secretary wants to keep them.
Thank you.
Item I, rental registration hearing on property located at 4638 Henry. Is that property owner here? 4638 Henry? What's the name? Oscar Antonio Asagurda?
4638 Henry? I have the owners be
DJ Lasker?
According to our notes, they each use 16. Okay, let's just go ahead and, sure no appeal is necessary.
We need any action on it then?
No action.
We'll move down to item J, rental registration hearing on property located at 1014 Kenwood Street. Arlene O'Hare.
I have Fabian Ortiz. Oh,
Do you have-
Ortiz? Yes.
Do you have the right agenda, Chris? Is it the right
This
order?
one says Dear Arlene
1014?
O'Hare and Fabian Ortiz.
Oh, okay.
Who's
It's got
Arlene?
both names on it.
Who is Arlene?
Arlene O'Hare,
Yes.
my sister.
Are you co-owners?
No,
Does she used to own it?
no. Oh, yeah, I did used to own it some years back.
All right, well, Mr. President, what we have in our records is Fabian Ortiz is the owner, who lives in Chicago, and he's never been late previously, and so the recommendation is, to waive the late fee for 16?
Yes,
Are you Fabian Ortiz?
right.
Who is Jesus Moreno?
I have no idea.
Is that not supposed to be attached?
The same parcel?
Me,
Oh, you don't live in Chicago?
Moreno is K. That belongs
Okay,
to
so
K.
it's, okay.
You don't live on 120th?
Sorry about that. We had them attached to the
we're
property.
all in mail, everything goes.
This one out.
So like the office.
Okay, give me this. Okay, I make a motion, it's just 16?
It's 16, but it's 3 units, but we're gonna ask him to please stop down and when he registers, make sure we have correct information, because that might be part of the problem. If we sent it to Chicago, and he lives in Lansing, it might explain why the rental registration might be different.
Okay. All right, we'll make a motion to waive the late fee for 2016. All 3 units must be registered at the rate of $5 each. If you'd like to do that today, we'll have you stick around and get your correct information, and after the meeting, you can register.
Okay.
Okay?
Do I stay up here or go downstairs?
Yeah, meeting's almost over, not too much longer. Item K, correspondence received from, oh, you made a motion. Did we get a second?
Yes.
Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item K, correspondence received from Mr. Jesus Moreno requesting a rental registration hearing set for today be continued to July 21st. Is that a problem, Chris? You're smiling.
It's Jesus. I'm just smiling until I understand.
Do we want to make a motion?
Is that
to-
fine? Is that enough time to get,
Jesus Brown.
that's okay? Okay. All right, we'll make,
I
all
want it next week, so we should just send it for next week, it's not a problem.
right. Do we need a motion on that?
Yeah, we should make a
Motion to set for hearing on July 21st.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item L, correspondence received requesting rental registrations. We have 2 of them.
How far out you want us to go? August 25th? Make a motion to set for hearing on August 25th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Agreements to rehabilitate property located at 913 175th Place and 5533 Soul and 1510 173rd third extension submitted for approval.
Mr. President, all three of these are demolition properties where an order has been issued. On 913 175th, there's a new owner who wishes to make repairs, so there's a rehabilitation agreement. I'd ask you to approve it. For 5533 Soul, there's a new owner who's going to be an owner-occupied property, and I'd ask you to please approve it. They came in yesterday afternoon and signed it. And for 1510 173rd Street, that's a property right there on 173rd Street, close to Station 7. They've been working on it. They work really slow, but it looks like it's almost finished, and they're just asking for the balance of the summer. I know normally we don't do 3 extensions, but they're nearly finished. It's just, they move slow.
So your recommendation is to approve all three? Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. Item N, correspondence received from Attorney Kurt Vosti regarding property located at 6609 Jefferson. Mr. Vosti?
Good morning. I think my letter to the board is self-obvious. I'm just reporting to you, and I'm sure you've had time to start talking with counsel about the June 23rd ruling by Judge Hawkins up in Lake Superior Court in East Chicago, overturning your decision of May 14th. And so I'm just informing you of my viewpoint of that decision. I've been contacted by attorneys from the city wanting to reset a hearing. And my opinion is there shouldn't be a hearing reset, but that's your decision, obviously. I'm just informing you of my position on that.
All right, Mr. President, I was president at that hearing, and basically all the judge did was grant them a do-over. They said that there was notice issues. It didn't say that the board's decision was invalid or in any way incorrect. It said there were notice issues, so they're doing a do-over. Mr. McCrum is attempting to contact Mr. Vosti so we can have an agreed date for a hearing so that we will avoid the problems we continuously have of people being unavailable on the date that is selected by the board unilaterally. So all that is going to happen is a new date is going to be coordinated. The notice will be sent out, and it will be sent out formal channels, and then we will have a hearing on that joint selected date.
So we don't need to take any action today?
At this point in time, we're just waiting for a date to send a new notice, and then we're going to have the new agreed date in the new notice, and then we will have it on that day.
The same day I sent you that letter, I sent a letter to Mr. McCrum with suggested dates in September, if that's what the board wants to do go forward. I would take issue with counsel's representation of the judge's ruling. I provided you with a copy of the judge's ruling, said it was granted. What I asked for was, as you do when you appeal a decision of the Board of Works, you can ask the court to affirm, or the court can affirm, modify, or reverse the decision. My motion was to reverse the decision. The judge granted that. But nonetheless, that's your decision. I just wanted to inform you of my position on that and let you know that I had communicated with Mr. McCrum about if you want to proceed, we could meet in, we would be available in September because my client is obviously busy in August. We also have a expert witness from the state, the state official who is responsible for interpreting state building laws, and he has indicated he would be available to come up here if needed, and we would obviously request some time to coordinate that with his schedule, so we suggested the 2 dates at the end of September.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Need action from us, Chris?
No, I don't think we need to take any action until the coordinated date.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Move down to item O, correspondence received from Miss Arkita Milton requesting permission to have horses for her son's birthday party at 1122 Spruce. Horses, not ponies.
No, it's a temporary pony. I did make inquiries. The city of Hammond, of course, doesn't allow you to keep exotic livestock or farm animals. However, for temporary purposes, for parades, for the rodeo, for the circus. We do allow exotic animals. The board just has to grant permission.
A motion to approve the request for a horse.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. Item P, garage sale permits. Oh, there's a bunch of them. We got a lot of garage sale permits.
Okay, motion to approve the garage sale permits.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Item Q, correspondence received from BP Pipeline North America Incorporated requesting permission for pipeline repair, River Road at Little Calumet, submitted for approval. This is actually near the intersection of Catalpa and River Drive. It looks like all the work is gonna be on the river side of the levee, but they are gonna have a staging area in the park area next to River Drive. I would recommend approving this subject to them cleaning up and restoring the staging area and contacting the Basin Commission to inspect the excavation area when they're completed. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
When are they starting work on this?
Looks like they didn't schedule a date. Oh, August 1st. Are there any matters from other board members? Matters from other department heads or their representatives? I think Mark McLaughlin wants to bring something up.
I have two checks that were made out to Gilead Steam. Civil City was listed as a signer on these checks, along with two banks and Hank Development Corporation. I introduce Gilead Steam board president and his secretary. Gene Ishman can help explain what's happened.
Good morning.
Hank Development Corporation. We had a meeting on Tuesday, board meeting, found out that the Hank Development Corporation is lien property in 2003 for some work that was done. There's a letter in front of you to explain the situation. Our board, our attorney Dave Westland advised to release the lien and he signed off on the checks. The lien was from 2003, long ago, satisfied. This was, insurance checks were from two floods in January of this year. And the contractors, Civil City was the last signer on the checks.
Question? Any question? All right, I make a motion to approve the city signing off on the checks.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other matters from department heads or their representatives? Oh, I'd like to recognize Councilwoman Janet Venez. who's sitting behind the podium, and I couldn't see her.
Markovich was here earlier.
Thank you. Is there any new business? Any old business? Meeting's open to the public. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to step up to the podium? Please state your name for the record.
My name is Vicki Dillon, and I have two properties. I have two properties located on Burton Court in Whiting, Indiana. I inherited them after my mother's death in 2014. One is being at 625 Burton Court, the other one being next door at 623 Burton Court. On Monday, I'm going to get my letter out of my purse. I received a letter stating it was to collect the debt for a rental registration that was not purchased for the property at 623 Burton Court. I contacted the lawyers and talked to Lisette on 7/12. I do have a cousin that's living in the house at 623 with his family. We're there to help each other out. I'm not, what's the
Landlord?
word? I'm sorry?
A landlord?
I've never been a landlord. I've
Okay.
handled my mother's business and for Whiting, when she had an apartment building when she was alive. I was there to show the renters and stuff. I've never had any issues before. So when I got this letter saying I owed rental registration for 623, I was really confused about it. It is a late fee in the total of $1,500, which is a lot of money to come up with.
How many units are in the building?
It's a small house. It's a 2-bedroom house.
Single family, one?
Single family, one. The house was actually, it's always been in the family. My great-grandparents built the house, and then it was passed down to my grandparents, and then passed down to my mother, and then now passed down to me. I live in the house next door, so it's been used for any family members that need a place to live.
Are you collecting rent from them?
I am collecting rent from them because I can't pay for taxes on this house and have someone live there for free. Okay.
So is this for multiple years then? Is that why we've got such a?
Well, yes. It says from 2014 to 2015, 2016. I inherited the house at the beginning of 2015. It was put in my name.
Okay. So has this not been set for hearing yet?
No, this is a brand new letter. I'm
She
sorry.
received a collection letter because it's a rental property and it hasn't been registered for 14, 15, or 16. So she's owned it for 15 and 16, and she would be responsible for 15 and 16. The previous owner would be responsible for 14 and 13.
She's deceased and she lived in the dwellings. She lived in the house. I lived in 625. She lived in 623. I took care of my mother for many years when she was ill and sick.
Do we need to set this just for the hearing and kind of go
So
through this
I'm
time, or did
just
you
want to get this
that?
resolved. I contacted the lawyer. I talked to Lisette. She never got back to me. I talked to her, called yesterday. They haven't spoke to me yet. I want to just get this
Chris.
resolved.
Could we take action on this today, or do we have to set a hearing?
No, no, it's in there. I mean, we usually set a hearing just so people know to be here and bring whatever they have to bring. She's probably.
So since she came in on her own volition, we can actually make
Yeah,
a
I just want to
decision.
resolve this.
How long has your cousin living
Um,
in the property and you've been collecting rent?
They moved in the fall of 2015 is when they moved in. I took care of my mother for many years, and it was very, hard to clean up the house with her stuff.
Okay. All right, we'll make a motion to waive the late fees for 2015 and 2016. 2014 will not be an issue for you. You do need to register the property for the year 2015 and 2016, and any year going forward,
Okay.
if there's going to be a renter in the property. If there's not going to be a renter, you need to sign an affidavit that family is living there rent-free, or that it's not being occupied at the time.
Thank you.
Okay, so your rental registration fee will be $5 for those 2 years.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. Can I take care of this today?
If you want to say we're almost
Yes, I
done, we can help you out after the meeting.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
So we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Is there anyone else in the audience? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion and a second, questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.